interrupt the Minister answering by raising a point of order, I'll deal severely with them too, because I will not accept a situation where a member knows they're asking a political question, get their political statement away to the House, and then interrupt a Minister giving a political answer. I won't tolerate that either. But it should not be beyond the wit of members to know. I don't want to rule out the questions they want to ask, but it should not be beyond the wit of members to know when they're asking a straight question, and ministers should listen. When they hear a straight question, they should answer it. But if it contains political views or political statements or claims, the minister's free to add, to respond in whatever political way within reason, so long as it's not outside what's reasonable in the House. Perfectly free to respond to it. And a member then who interrupts the minister will be dealt with severely by me, because they should know when they've asked a political question. Now I'm going to ask the Leader of the Opposition, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, to repeat his question so that everyone can hear it, and if it's a straight question, I expect a straight answer. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, when was the last time that median wages in New Zealand fell as they did in the year to June 2010, as reported by Statistics New Zealand?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, let's answer the question as we did last week. The member is quoting from the New Zealand Income Survey. It was exactly the same question that was asked last week. And as I pointed out last week, the New Zealand Income Survey is a very broad index that looks at all sorts of things, including investment income. It does not look at wage income. And the member knows this because he knows that by far the best way to measure median income in New Zealand is the quarterly employment survey, and it has gone up $31 a week.
I think I can anticipate the point of order, because a question was asked, and even though there may be all sorts of issues around the question, I don't believe the Prime Minister really attempted to answer it. The question was, when did the median income for New Zealanders, if I remember the question correctly, last fall in a 12-month period, as it did to, the member claimed, to whenever it was in 2010, a particular date in 2010. Now, the Prime Minister may not have that information with him, which is a perfectly acceptable answer, and I have no problem with the explanation the Prime Minister gave, but some attempt to either acknowledge he doesn't have that information or would be because there was a straight question, and I think the House should hear that. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, last year, which is the last data I have, some showed it went up and some showed it went down.
The Right Honourable
Mr Speaker,
Leader of the Opposition.
Do I take it from the answer that the only two times in the last 12 years that median wages have fallen is in the last 2 years under a national government?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
No.
Joe Goodhue.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Prime Minister. How have wages and prices moved over a longer period of time?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, in recent periods, after-tax wages have actually been struggling to keep up with inflation. For example, the Stats New Zealand data, which is used to calculate New Zealand super, shows that over the 9-year period between 1999 and 2008, real after-tax wages rose in the entire period by 3%, which shows what a diabolical mess the Labour Party left New Zealand workers in.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, to the Prime Minister, is it correct that the Department of Labour reported that last year more than half of New Zealanders never got any wage increase while prices kept on rising?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, the member again is quoting from the Labour Cost Index. The Labour Cost Index is again a measure that looks at a specific job, not the movement. Well, you obviously don't understand it, Dazza, so I need to take you through it very slowly in words of one syllable or less, son. Okay, so the Labour...
Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard. Order. Order, point of order has been called.
Mr Speaker, I think if the member was addressing another member as son, it might be an interesting claim, but not factual. But, sir, he did say you, and I think we just look at both of you and work out that that's impossible.
Order. The member's point is quite correct. The Prime Minister did refer to the Speaker then, and at my age, order. At my age, it's certainly not possible to be the Right Honourable Prime Minister's son.
Yes,
the
Mr.
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, yes.
So the Right Honourable Prime Minister.
It's not true, and even though you do look a lot younger than me, I accept that point completely by Mr Mallard. So, Mr Speaker, if we go to the Labour Cost Index, Mr Speaker, so if we go to the Labour Cost Index, the Labour Cost Index looks at a specific job in time. It does not look at changes that occur to jobs for a variety of reasons. So, for instance, over the last decade, the Labour Cost Index on average has shown 40 to 50% of all people have no change. That was exactly the same right through the period when that Leader of the Opposition was in government.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, is it correct that the Minister of Finance showed in the budget this year that in fact price inflation was well ahead of wages right up to 2014, and that's obviously another 3 or 4 years out?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, I can't comment on the exact details of that. I'd have to go and look. I don't have it in the hand, but what I can tell you is in the 9 years that Labour was in office, wages rose by 3% on a real basis. In total, under a national government, it's risen by 9% in 2 years. That's why New Zealand workers are happy, and why they don't want the Goff father.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr Speaker, could I table an extract from the budget showing that what I've just said was absolutely correct, so the Prime Minister's aware?
Normally, we would not be. I would not seek leave to table something from the budget. However, given the comment, the last comment made by the Prime Minister, I will seek leave. Is there any objection to that? There is objection. Question number 2. Point of order, the Honourable Trevor Mallard. Supplementary question, the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Mr Speaker, to the Prime Minister, when he claimed that real after-tax wages rose from September 2008 to June 2010, was he using the average wage for employed people for his calculations and ignoring the massive income reduction for the extra 61,000 families who have unemployed members?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, of course, the employment data shows those that are employed.
Question number 2.